Welcome to Student Live, Student Voices, a production of HC Broadcasting and KNAF AM 910. This series encourages conversations about the topics that matter to young people and the issues that affect them. Our goal is to engage students in these conversations as well as in the solutions created. Time now for Student Lives, Student Voices.
Student Live, Student Voices is being brought to you as a service of Kinstopel Ford, Central Texas Electric Co-op, Totality Over Texas, Vogel Tractors, Joseph Financial Partners, Medical Arts Pharmacy, and Celebrity Care Medical Clinic.
Welcome to Student Live, Student Voices, conversations on topics that matter to young people and those that care about them. A production of HC Broadcasting. The content has been edited to tell the story, for clarity, and to fit in the time allowed. To put today's episode in context, here's a quick summary of our prior episodes. The first episode explores the legal definition of bullying, recent research on when and how it occurs, and initial ideas on interventions. The second episode goes more in depth on the growing and dangerous phenomenon of cyberbullying, its definition, legal consequences, and potential responses. Here at KNAF AM 910 and Student Live Student Voices, we protect the identities of the young people who've agreed to come forward to talk about bullying. The young person in this interview selected the name K, or the letter K, as his title for the show. This episode only deals with a portion of his interview. We'll be going into depth about issues he raises in other parts of his interview during subsequent episodes. We're going to listen to his story first and then follow up with questions that it raised for our moderators. We actually contacted various local trusted adults of ours, including education experts, counselors, and others who work extensively with young people in educational settings. Here is Kay's story in his own words.
What would you like to be called? If you could think of anything you ever wanted to be called, what would it be?
Just call me Kay.
Kay? Right.
All mine happened all throughout middle school. So I lived in Johnson City my whole life, and then I went to another school. And when I went to that school, I was still tall, goofy, and then middle school came around, I started doing athletics. And the 6th grade year, kid tripped me on purpose, broke my collarbone. 6th grade year, just got healed up with my collarbone and broke my wrist because I was tired. Principal did nothing about it. And so I went back towards my hometown because 7th grade year, first day of school, kids started gumming my hair. I got called names. And then 7th grade year, we found out that my old school was accepting transfer students, so I transferred back to Johnson City. And we drove until I got my driver's license, and then now I'm officially living in Johnson City back again, and I'm going to graduate from there.
So your parents gotten you back into Johnson City, or family or friends? I'm just trying to figure, since the school didn't sound like they were very helpful to you.
Mm-mm.
Who listened to you when you said it's time for me to go?
Parents saw that it wasn't, and we transferred back.
What would you tell another student if they were getting bullied? What would you tell them about maybe going and talking to a trusted adult, or finding some better friends, or what would you tell other students that are experiencing bullying that might help them?
I would tell them just not live with it for one. Just get out of it. Tell them stop. Go talk to your counselor. If it keeps happening, go talk to your counselor. Go talk to your trusted adult. Tell your parents. Even aunt and uncle.
Just find somebody
that you really trust, and that's helped for me. And so,
did you have any other kids that you felt like you could talk to?
No, because I was always the odd one out,
Right.
and just with me being tall and goofy, I was always taller than everybody. So it just
Yeah. Was there any system in place at the school you went to? Like now they've got some systems that are where you can like go on anonymously and they nobody.
I don't really think
So they didn't really have that when you were in school.
no. And the thing is that they saw that what happened to me, and they didn't do anything.
Right.
So it wasn't that they weren't informed, they knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had 2 injuries that came out of that.
Well, one of them was collarbone.
And one of them was
Collarbone
wrist.
and wrist
Yeah.
or arm. I had a cast.
Yeah. Well, that's the extreme. That's one of the extreme ends of bullying. It was a lot of cyberbullying and everything else, but this was physical bullying
Yes.
in junior high. And so in high school, you haven't experienced.
No, I haven't really experienced it. Now I go to school in high school in Johnson City. So, like I said, I grew up in Johnson City, so I know everybody. And but it was when I went to my other school, that's when it started. And then when I got out,
When you see other people getting bullied, what do you think, or do you do anything?
I try and help. Like if I see it, then I'll go and try and talk. But
Yeah.
we're Johnson City, there's not really a lot.
Well, that's good. That's good to know.
That's very good to know. So, you had physical bullying. Did you experience any cyberbullying?
I actually really never had a phone up. I really didn't get a phone until I started playing sports, which was seventh and eighth. 7th grade, I had a flip phone. Like my parents started me off on a flip phone, and then I finally got an iPhone. But
Did you notice that it affected your schoolwork, or did you not want to go to school, or how did it affect you
mentally, I was just like, I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to go back to my old school where all my friends were.
So really, it really probably hampered your education a little bit.
And
It slowed you down a little bit.
that too, and some of the teachers would help, but when I got diagnosed with dyslexia, teachers wouldn't help as much.
Kay's story raised questions for Steve and I about what the reporting options would be now for a young person having similar experiences and frustrations at a current school. We reached out to our contacts at Kerrville ISD for more help with this question, and you're going to hear their answers right after these messages. Just to clarify, Kerrville ISD is not the location of Kay's prior school. Instead, we're reaching out to a neutral source of information.
This is Steve Maxwell here at Texas Rebel Radio, and I want to talk to you just a second about Ken Stopel Ford in Kerrville. They're not just a great company to buy your next vehicle from or to get your vehicle serviced. The Stopels are deeply involved in the communities they serve. They give you their time and resources to Habitat for Humanity, Junior Livestock Scholarships, Kerr County Young Life, Harper and Medina Volunteer Fire Departments, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the United Way, and many more. They touch every community in this listening area in some way. There are some good companies in our Texas Hill Country, but the one company that stands out as an advocate for all of us is Ken Stopel Ford. When you consider purchasing your next vehicle or servicing the ones you have, please give Ken Stopel Ford a chance to show you what they are all about: honesty, integrity, and a willingness to get involved in their Hill Country community. They have been Hill Country proud since 1966, and they would love nothing more than to prove it to you. Find them at stopelford.com.
CTEC is a proud sponsor of Student Life, Student Voices. From lighting up your homes to powering local businesses, we've been your reliable source of energy for over 75 years. But CTEC is not just about electricity. From sponsoring local school programs to supporting community events, Central Texas Electric Co-op is all about giving back. In fact, concern for community is one of our guiding principles. With every flip of the switch, we're working together to build a brighter future. Visit our website or drop by our office today. Central Texas Electric Co-op, powering homes, empowering communities.
So you want to start off, Amy?
Yes. I'm Amy Weiser. I am the Safe and Supportive Schools Program Coordinator for Kerrville ISD, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Heather Engstrom. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Kerrville ISD.
And last but not least, I'm Lauren Jett, and I'm the Public Relations Specialist.
Thank you so much for being on here and for your school district being so supportive of our program, Student Live, Student Voices. We deeply appreciate that. You're a resource we can go back to as well when we have questions. And so just to give you a little bit of
background, we had a young person come on our program.
Experienced a bullying experience, but he felt that when he reached out to his school, he did not get the feedback that made him feel safe or made him feel like a change was happening. So he was able to transfer back to a school where he did feel safer and felt he was getting the response he needed. But under those circumstances, if that should happen to someone and they feel like they're not getting the help they seek from the school where they're at currently, can they go to, not necessarily leave that school, but if a friend says, the school counselor at our school is so awesome, they can at least give you some ideas. Is that really doable, or is there some other option for them?
So I do empathize with that young man and his story. I know it's hard when you feel like you've been targeted. So as far as school counselors, they really do work with the students on their campus. Now, if there's multiple school counselors on that campus, I would highly recommend to go see another one and check base and see if there's one that can understand that story and make that connection and help. But as far as if, you have a friend at another campus and says, oh, my school counselor is really great, that may not be the best resource because she's not connected with that other school to be able to best support and help that student. Mm-hmm. They may be able to give some ideas, but honestly, I would recommend finding a trusted adult who can advocate for them is going to be the most important thing. And this could be, their caretaker, parent or guardian person, another teacher or coach or administrator, adult sibling. There's a wide variety out there. So I would find that person who can have that voice to help speak up and help find that person that can help them feel supported and understand the process that the school is going through. Mm-hmm. All schools also have an anonymous reporting tool, and this is a great way to report when there is an issue or a concern. And so that's also something that the student could, if they feel like, okay, I've reported it once and I feel like it fell on deaf ears, then maybe try that anonymous reporting tool, because that can be something that really helps. As like districts, when they get a report, Texas State Safety Center has provided the districts with a bullying checklist for schools that we utilize, and it gives us these boxes that we go through, and you check off a yes or no, and it kind of is a flow chart that you go through, and then from that flow list, it determines if it's an act of bullying or cyberbullying by law. And then if it is bullying or cyberbullying by law, the principal must contact the student's parent or legal guardian, and so both are notified when that happens. And so I do like that checklist because there are scenarios, and it really helps break down the law, so that way we make sure that we are best serving students and that our definition isn't varied from another school district. We truly are staying in line with what the state law.
That's actually also a checklist that then parents would have access to, or a guardian would have access to, right? So that they could go through it, look at what's happening with their child. If it turns out it doesn't match the legal definition of bullying, are there other alternatives the school is able to help them do to sort of conflict resolve?
Oh, definitely. That is really a good question. There's quite a few different things that school districts can do and put into place. One of course, coming from the mental health background, one of my favorite ones is utilizing the school counselor's responsibility to serve as impartial, non-reporting resource to help them resolve interpersonal conflicts and any discord that may be happening. And so they can sit down with the school counselor who will not take sides, but will help them use some systems to put in place to be able to resolve that conflict. And I know when I was a school counselor, I had many opportunities where I was able to bring in two students and get down to the root of what was really happening.
Heather Engstrom, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Kerrville ISD. From the scenario you gave us, I'm not sure what steps the parents went through, but any parent who is not satisfied with maybe the care on the campus that their child is receiving, they can always contact central office administrators or the superintendent to have a dialogue and talk through those steps. And then usually in my position, if I have a concerned parent call me, then we reach out with the principals and kind of find a common ground. So there are beyond the campus. Earlier you were talking about, can they see another counselor at a different school? And that's usually not a common practice because, as Ms. Weiser said, the campus counselors know about the campus resources and how to best serve students on their campus. But if parents are unhappy with or concerned about what is happening on the campus and want to hear from another administrator, they can always reach out to the superintendent.
Oh, that is cool. So there is this whole other avenue of response options out there as a process that they can as well go through. Oh, this is very cool. Thank you so much for this. This is great.
We'll be back with more information from our Kerrville ISD education experts on this topic in just a moment. We'll find out why you might not always get the answers you seek, other human resources you can call on, and some virtual resources that are available as well.
Calling all Eclipse visionaries. Totality Over Texas, based here in Fredericksburg, has all your Eclipse essentials covered. ISO certified Eclipse glasses, commemorative t-shirts, and more, all custom designed with Texas in mind. It's time to get ready for the ultimate celestial spectacle. Visit www.totalityovertx.com and make sure all eyes are on you during the eclipse. That's totalityovertexas.com.
Vogel Tractors is the Texas Hill Country source for pre-owned tractors. They offer new and used implements and attachments for landscaping, tillage, and harvest, as well as small construction machines and attachments. Their inventory includes new equipment from Rhino, Armstrong Ag, Industrious America, Mohawk, Agmeyer, and more. Every tractor at Vogel's is thoroughly inspected, serviced, and field tested to ensure that they're field ready. Your trade-in is welcomed at Vogel Tractors, and financing options as well as nationwide delivery is available. The Vogels are successful sixth-generation Texas German farmers and ranchers who know what it takes to work the land. So when you need a tractor or a piece of associated equipment, visit your Hill Country neighbors at Vogel Tractors, 12 miles east of Fredericksburg on U.S. Highway 290, or find them online at vogeltractors.com. That's VOGEL tractors.com.
Before we move on from this part of the conversation about conflict resolution, what other conflict resolution options are there out there?
Assistant principals and principals also can utilize other techniques, and then depending on the situation, they may be able to adjust some schedules or look at different interventions or things that can help support that student so that all parties are being served and protected, and that student that feels like they were targeted and had that mean-spirited event happen, that they're supported and taken care of. And mainly that they feel safe.
Yes. Also, you had mentioned some other potential people that within the school system. There's also other official people that they can go to in many school systems. So for example, there's usually a law enforcement officer. What are other options if maybe their first contact, for whatever reason, they just didn't feel like it worked for them?
Yes, counselor, a trusted teacher. I know in our district we have some amazing secretaries who could reach out and help connect them with who they need to provide support. And so, even if they have a cafeteria worker that they feel like they've made that connection to, that all of our staff go through a trauma-informed care training, and it helps them to respond to a student who goes through the situation. So a bus driver might be a great person to reach out to, or a custodial band director, just finding that person that they feel like they can reach out to. And so, especially at the middle school and high school, it opens up to your changing period. So it opens up to even more teachers. But even at elementary, are you at recess? I bet there's probably, 3 or 4 other teachers on duty. And so any of them, they want to support that student. So I would look for, that person that they feel they could connect with.
Oh, that's exciting. Because that actually opens up my mind as well, as I thought there was a definite chain or network, but actually it's meant to be the entire school. So there could be a way to reach out to a whole host of different people as you go. And for young people, for anyone actually, asking for help can be something you have to really build yourself up to. So that first time, if you feel like it didn't really connect or work for you, or maybe you tried a couple, 3 times, how many tries on average could a person have to make before they connect with help that makes a difference for them? And
before Ms. Weiser answers that question, and this is Heather, and going back to your first question, we always hope and encourage that our students talk to their parents as well, because parents are, the number one advocate for their child. So we also, when you were talking about who can the child talk to, we really hope that our kids will also include their parents. And sometimes it may seem awkward. They don't want to add stress to their parent, or they don't want to concern their parent because they perceive their parent might have a lot going on, but we always want to encourage them to talk to their parents too.
Cool. And in this circumstance, this person did have a good relationship with their parent, was able to do that. But that is true, too, that we often don't think. They're also usually trying to protect other people as well as themselves. And so they don't realize that, they have a two-way street there that they could have that conversation with their parents as well. Let's say if it's the young person or the young person and a parent, how many tries how often do you make that match that just really works for you, do you find?
Amy Weiser, Safe and Supportive Schools Program Coordinator for Kerrville IS. I don't have the data, and I can't speak to. Yes. Hopefully, ideally, they're feeling like it's resolved that first time, but knowing that we have young people where their prefrontal cortex is still developing, and we all have free will. So someone may need multiple times talking to someone or mediating or having some kind of disciplinary repercussions before it sinks in and you can fully stop it. So, I know there are times where we have to continually check in with that, and that's where it's really important for the student and parents to, if you feel like, hey, this is continued or there was another incident, to make sure that they report that. And I know sometimes it's hard to get that final closure due to FERPA laws and regulations. Administrators or school staff cannot talk about another student to other people. And so that means that they won't get to know the consequences or the repercussions for the student who they had reported. And so sometimes that makes it really difficult because you don't have that finalized, like, okay, this is how it was dealt with. But definitely if that behavior, if it has, it's been reported and there's been time for the administration to address it and it continues, make sure that you report it again, because sometimes we as school have addressed it. So we think, okay, things are better, and we may not realize that it is still occurring or another incident happened. So we definitely want to know when something like that happens, so that way we can step in, because the earlier we know in situations like this, the easier it is, especially when we step into that mediation process. I find that the earlier I was involved, the easier and quicker we were able to get down to the root and get it resolved.
And if you could do me a favor, could you explain what FERPA is for our listening audience?
Yes. Oh, I'm trying to think of the exact definition of what FERPA stands for, but it is a law about educational records and confidential information. And so we cannot release any educational records. Okay, so it stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And what it does is it protects students' information. So we're not going to go and talk about this student in our class and they did this or that. We would be violating FERPA.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. This has been fantastic, and I so appreciate you filling in these gaps and giving us something that we can respond back to that, and so informative. Is there anything that I haven't asked or that you haven't had a chance to talk about?
Before we leave, I do want to talk about where to find information on the website. They have some great videos and stuff at the Texas State Safety Center, and if you can just even search Texas State Safety Center and bullying, and it's going to pull up some links on their website. There's going to be tools, and when you pull it up, there's a tab that says videos, and you can scroll down and you can watch videos that talk about what bullying is, and there's one that's designed focus on for parents to watch, and I highly encourage that video.
Oh, that's excellent.
And if parents have an extra moment, none of them are super long, so it's not going to take too long, but it has some really good information.
This is the third episode of Student Live, Student Voices. We appreciate your listening in. Next week, we'll have more of Kay's story, as well as questions that it raises for us. We'll be featuring questions about building healthy relationships and coping skills.
An upcoming cyber safety event we also think parents, guardians, and older students may want to attend is one being offered by the FBI's San Antonio Field Office Crimes Against Children Squad, who will explain both the dangers of cyber exploitation and the existing community resources available to help young people and their loved ones cope and combat the phenomenon. This event will be held Monday, September 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. at St. Joseph's Hall at 212 West San Antonio Street in Fredericksburg.
Joseph Financial Partners is a proud sponsor of Student Life, Student Voices. They offer independent financial advice in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and insurance. They're here to educate and assist you with all of your financial needs, and they hold themselves to a fiduciary standard, meaning they place your needs above their own. Their mission, to partner with their clients on all of their significant financial decisions by providing independent advice, appropriate education, and extraordinary service, all delivered with the integrity that holds your financial needs above their own. Please visit Joseph Financial Partners at josephfinancialpartners.com and find out why so many have placed their trust in this extraordinary Hill Country financial team. josephfinancialpartners.com.
This is Steve Maxwell, Sales Director here at HC Broadcasting, and I'm careful about giving personal endorsements, but Ken Stopel Ford in Kerrville is a no-brainer. I recommend them without reservation. My wife bought the last truck we purchased from Ken Stopel, and she told me she will never buy from another car dealer. They won't be satisfied until you are happy with the service you receive. That's why Ford Motor Company gave them their President's Award. Ford dealers get this when they meet or exceed customer expectations in every department. They also give back to Hill Country schools and communities. I asked my friend Terry Massey, their general manager, if they would help with our radio show about bullying. He didn't ask me what Ken Stopel would get out of the sponsorship. He just said, sign us up. That's the Stopels I know. The next time you need a vehicle or service, go see the folks that really care about people in the Hill Country. Go see Ken Stopel Ford. Find them at stopelford.com.
We want to make sure that any of our listeners understand help is available from many sources. There is always hope, and nothing is inevitable. There are school counselors, reporting systems at schools, and even help through hotlines such as the 988 system. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, call 988 for assistance, or contact Texas Health and Human Services at 855-937-2372 to talk to a trained professional. Tune in each Sunday in September at 5 p.m. for a new episode of Student Live, Student Voices. Watch our social media for more opportunities to listen to the series and for times and topics for episodes coming up throughout the 2023-2024 school year. If you're interested in sharing your story or are a student interested in becoming involved in producing the show, please contact us at knafnews@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening to Student Live, Student Voices, brought to you by our sponsors, Ken Stopel Ford, Central Texas Electric Co-op, Totality Over Texas, Vogel Tractors, Joseph Financial Partners, Medical Arts Pharmacy, and Celebrity Care Medical Clinic.